Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Ethan, and this is Roster United. Here we're going to do another mini podcast, and this is going to be a little funny and a little odd to hear, but we're going to be interviewing myself, answering a few questions, getting to know me a little better, but also what are my likes and interests in Marvel United, the board game. So let's start here. We're going to do lots and lots of questions. So let's just start off. Who is Ethan? Well, it's very simple. Ethan is a smart yet very um, dumb and and many occasional things. And Ethan Mullet is it's not the best looking. That's why I did a podcast. um, but Ethan could be fun, I guess. I can be fun. And I'm always fun. I always do jokes. And yeah. It's really hard to describe yourself at the same time trying to be humble about it and true about it, right? So I guess Ethan is I mean, a lot of people like to describe him as a nice young uh, person, a humble, I guess, and very funny. And I am happy to say thank you to that. I would rather like to be happy and nice than to be literally something else. Um, yeah, so that's kind of a hard question to say, but hopefully that answers it. How old is Ethan? Ethan is 15 years old. I am 15 years old. Yeah, there's really nothing else to say. He's just 15. When did you start playing board games? Oh, that's a good question. I started playing board games when I was about 7 years old. And pardon my math on this, but I think it's been like 8 years or something like that since I first started to get into board games. I have played Uno, but nothing really hobby-like games. And I started with Unitama. I've started with um, what else? I started with Star Wars Rebellion out of nowhere. I did King Domino. I did all these cool, kind of easy games, and then from then on, I started to getting into the more deep things like Anachrony, Marvel Crisis Protocol, and many other more games that are pretty hard to play and can be a little confusing at times. Why did Ethan start a podcast about Marvel United? That's another good question. See, I started a podcast because I've listened to a lot of podcasts, honestly. Now, I've never been up to date like every single episode. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna, I wasn't like that. But I've heard lots of podcasts. Not just sport wise, but also board game wise, the Dice Tower podcast has been around for a while, as well as the Secret Cabal podcast, and our local Rolling Dice and Taking Names podcast as well. I have listened to all three of those. It's really fun just knowing about board games, and not just that, but also knowing the opinions of others. That's the best part for me in a podcast, is to know the opinions of others. That's really the main thing. So I started a podcast about Marvel United because it had a huge roster, and just I don't know, just making a podcast sounded cool. Yeah, so making a podcast really did sound cool, and Marvel United, it was amazing. It was super cool seeing this game, because this is kind of like the first game since Marvel Champions that was kind of a big Marvel game. And Marvel United had tons of characters, tons of cards, and everybody was literally different. And for me, just that was really cool. And I thought, well, if I want to talk about a game, I want to talk about a game that has lots and lots of characters. That's what I want to do. And that's what we've been doing here in Roster United, right? And just Marvel United again, tons of characters, and more to come. We've seen this with X-Men United now coming, you know. So I just wanted to start this podcast with that was going to be something big, and it is. It really has grown a lot, and it's just been really fun to do these podcasts and these things. I've always been wanting to do this, and I finally had the time, and I finally know how to do these podcasts and stuff. So it's been really fun. Why did you name the podcast Roster United? Okay, so this might sound cheesy, or not. I don't know. I named Roster United for two reasons. One, roster. Why is that there? Well, because a roster contains a list of many players or people in a big spreadsheet, right? Or yeah, it's just basically a big list of people's names for a team or a company. I don't know, something like that. So a roster is that, and you'll see rosters, right? If you look up in the NFL or NBA and you go through the teams and you see all the players in that team, you are seeing a roster, and you'll see what every player does, what it does, what he does, what is he best at, and things like that. So I named roster because, well, Marvel United has more than like 60 characters, 70 characters in the game, and it's just amazing. And Marvel United has a big roster of villains and heroes, so I thought I should call it roster. Now the United part was kind of just a slap on at the end, kind of like a peel the sticker and just slap it somewhere. So I did that. I did roster United because the game is called Marvel United. This is a roster that is united for one game. And yes, it sounds kind of cheesy. I can't lie to you, but honestly, it's a really cool. I think it's a cool name. I'm like roster United. Oh, that's cool. For me, though, I told my parents this, I told my friends and families this, and they're like, huh? They're like, this doesn't make sense. Roster United? What's that? But now, after a few months of actually doing really good, now we have like more than like 200 followers in the channel right now. After 2 months, or after 2 months, wow. No, after like 3, 4 months of, doing this podcast, Roster United has kind of catched on. It doesn't seem awkward as it first did in its first, I don't know, month and a half. No, but now when I say Roster United, everybody knows what that is, and I guess it sounds cool. So, yeah. All right, now we have another question, and this is going to be all of these next questions are going to be like Marvel United related to know me better. Who is your favorite hitter? Who is your favorite? Oh wait, you know what? Wow! I totally skipped over a question here. What is Mullycast about? Well, that's also another question. As I said in the beginning of the episode, Mullycast is a company or company, not really a huge company, but it's something I've made up. And basically, we like to talk about board games. So Mullycast gives opportunities for people to make podcasts. Literally, I mean, you can literally make a podcast, and you can have a big opportunity of succeeding, such as Roster United. I did Mullycast with Roster United and Mullet Podcast, the Mullet Podcast, and that's really worked out really well. Mullycast is literally just a company that gives opportunities for people to make a podcast for any game they like or any hobby that they enjoy. And I named it Mullycast because I don't know why. I really don't. I really don't know why we named it Mullycast, but I guess I did, and it worked out. It's pretty cool. I like it. Just kind of having an oversight of all of the podcasts that I've been doing and what others have been doing is just really fun. And it's a great opportunity to have. All right, now we're gonna get into the personal Marvel United questions. Who is your favorite hitter? That is a fantastic question because I have no idea. I have played literally Marvel United for more than 120 times. You could say I'm addicted to it. But I still don't know who my favorite hitter is. But I gotta mention him because he's been in the podcast before. He's a big dude. He's a stinking dinosaur, so you can't mess around with him. But personally, I love Better Ray Bill. Better Ray Bill is an amazing hitter, but he can also move and he can heal himself to get more cars and stuff. He's amazing. Heroic wise, he's still pretty decent. And I just like Better Ray Bill. He's really cool. I really like his play style, moving around and just hitting, but healing himself. He's kind of like a one man show. And I can't lie, right? But sometimes you do need a one man show because the other person has no absolute idea. The reason for that is because they've only played the game like a normal person would play the game. But sadly, I'm not a normal person in this scenario, so yeah. So, um, yeah, I've kind of been back and forth on this. I think Better Ray Bill's probably gonna be the number one hitter. Probably second would probably be Luke Cage. I love Luke Cage. And of course, I gotta show some love to Hulk because Hulk is still really good. And, just really amazing player. And, yeah, so one of those three, honestly, if you came to me, if you ever saw me in real life and, we talked and you said that question to me, I would not know what to say. And what I would say is one of those three characters. So there you go. We also have who is your favorite heroic character? This is a good question, but honestly, I've kind of like Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is a great character with great abilities. And he has 6 heroics, 6 wilds, and he still has 3 moves, which is really good. I do like his abilities, where he can just almost be. He can look at the top 3 cards. He can move around. He can do all these great things. And I personally think that my favorite heroic character right now is Doctor Strange. Favorite, yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I still haven't answered that. Still haven't put more detail into that. So I personally think, um, again, that uh, you know, um, oh man, what's his name? Doctor Strange. Jeez, I'm losing it. Anyway, look, we see Doctor Strange. Sure, he has 1 hit. He has 3 moves, which is not bad, but he has 6 wilds and 6 heroics. He has all these Agamotto, the Eye of Agamotto, the Orb of Agamotto, Cloak of Levitation, Book of Vishanti, if I'm saying that correctly, which I probably ain't. But you see all these powers that he has, plus his 6 wilds and 6 heroics. He's just so powerful, and he can really get the job done. So, yeah, personally for me, I like Doctor Strange right now as a heroic character. Now, who is my favorite hitter? Or, excuse me, we already answered that. Who's my favorite mover? Well, I mean, he's not the best guy, right? But if you really want to move, Quicksilver can. I like him, but, I can't say he's my favorite. I have to say War Machine's my favorite. Because he can move 7 times, and he can still hit 5 times, and he can save people 3 times, and has 3 wilds. Now that's not bad. He's a big mover and he's a decent hitter, I can't lie. But I like his abilities. I like his abilities. For example, Beam Weapon, which says deal 1 hit in an adjacent location. He also has Rocket Launcher, deal 2 hits in an adjacent location. And then he has Starfing Run, which says deal 2 hits, then move. So he is really, really good at hitting in other locations, which gives him a good range. Sometimes you don't want to be right at the mess, right? Sometimes you don't want to be in the middle of the fight. Sometimes you want to stay back, observe, and then strike. And that's exactly what War Machine does. So probably for me, though, I do like War Machine's moves as well. It's just really good. He can move 8 times. That's his max with the ability, and he can hit plus 12 hits. I don't really have the number in my head right now, but he can definitely hit a lot and move a lot. Now I don't have him as a hitter. I don't have him as a hitter because I've seen other hitters play a lot better than War Machine, which is kind of hard to say for what he's got. But just moving wise for War Machine is just great. I think he's a good character. He's got that range, and he's just very fun to play. I've played with him tons of times, and he's really cool. All right, now we got back to more personal stuff. What is your favorite board game, if you have any? I do. I do have a favorite board game. My favorite board game, oh man. I mean, I have lots and lots of board games. Marvel United is not my favorite board game, which is kind of surprising because I literally made a podcast about it. But it's not my favorite game. It's up there. It's in my top 10, but or maybe top 5. But Marvel United is not my favorite. My favorite is probably Anachrony. Or maybe not Anachrony. It's hard to. It's a good question. It just takes lots of time to truly think about it. Probably my favorite game that I can just like whenever anybody just wants to bring it out to the table, I'll just say yes, please. Um, man, I'm almost tempted to say Star Wars Rebellion was also a good one. But there's also Last Will, which was really fun. There is Terraforming Mars, as well as Cryo, which was really fun. I liked Cryo. And, Dune. Oh, okay, yeah. Probably Dune Imperium is my favorite. Yeah, so it's probably Dune Imperium that's my favorite. Um, that's my favorite, kind of game there. I do love Dune Imperium because man, it's just so fun, the concept of the deck building with the worker placement is really amazing, and it suits really well. Another game that kind of does this is, or not kinda, it does do this, is Lost Ruins of Arnak. Now, Lost Ruins of Arnak um, did win a, what's that award? It's not the, Spiel des Jahres. It's the other one. Dang it, I forgot what the name is. I'll search it up later. But it basically won it basically won the biggest award that you can think of for a board game, which is kind of sad to say because I liked Anacron or Lost Ruins of Arnak. I did like that game. The only problem is that I thought Dune did a little bit better. Dune was literally more of a straightforward worker placement and deck building. On Lost Ruins of Arnak, you do feel like you're worker placement. You're not. Yeah, well, in Lost Ruins of Arnak, you don't feel like you're doing worker placement a lot. Going to these locations, getting your resources. Yes, you do that quite a bit, but finding monsters and getting to other locations. You don't really do that. You like to investigate more. You like to build your deck so you can do more without placing your guys. So, in the first few turns, yes, you do lots of worker placement, but after that it kind of dies out, and then you just start. You still play your characters or your little figgies there, but that's really it. Um, but I just thought Dune Imperium did a little better, and I just like the theme of Dune Imperium. I did like the theme for Lost Ruins of Arnak, right? Um, but for me personally, I just think Dune Imperium is just a better game. Really fun game as well. Um, and I should say this now, but Lost Ruins of Arnak and Dune Imperium is like a rivalry for me because they both came out at the exact same time. They were both trying out a kind of a new concept of a game, worker placement, deck building. They both did really a good job. I just think, personally for me, that Dune Imperium did a little better than Lost Ruins of Arnak. I might need to play it again. Who knows? But for now, it is Dune Imperium. That is my favorite game. Um, yeah, it's almost like the Bears, Chicago Bears, and the Green Bay Packers rivalry. I think in a few months or a few years, you'll see Dune Imperium, Lost Ruins of Arnak will be like a big rivalry. And it was when it first came out. So it was really fun to do that. It really was. We also have another question here. Who is your favorite person to play with? Um, okay, so I guess this means board game wise. So, I love to play with my father. My dad, yes, he is amazing. He's been on the show one time when we did Ultron, and he wants to come back, and he probably will. But for now on, he is my favorite go-to person. I mean, no one else really plays board games like we do. We've literally played, man, we've played what, more than 300 times maybe together. We've played tons of times, and I mean tons and tons of times. He's a really great person. I love him. He's a good guy, really amazing board gamer, and he beats me all the time. I don't understand. I really don't. But he's phenomenal, and I would I would oh if I had the chance to play with anybody, it would probably be my dad because he's just fun. Me and him look the same and we think the same, and it's just super fun when we get into an argument, board game wise, right? Oh, I think this board game's better, or sharing our opinions in games. We really get into that stuff, and it's been just really fun playing with him. Yeah, like just really fun. It's really good, huh? Um, he loves board games. He's gotten me into the podcast, which thanks to him, honestly, I was able to do Roster United. Very supportive on what I do, but of course, like always, he's a parent. He's your dad, right? Or he's my dad, and as a dad, you, at least what I've observed, you gotta keep your son on track. You let him go, you could support him, but you gotta keep him on the right track. Am I right? So, thanks to my dad, I've been on track with which is with everything, been balanced. Been really nice. People really thank me for being nice and humble, but honestly, it's all thanks to my dad. He's taught me that, and I've learned my lessons many times, and he's just a great person. Board gaming wise, it's really fun to just play with him, and we might play later today. And yeah, it's just, man, he's just such a great guy. I really love him. Alright, now we also have another question. What is the latest board game you've been playing? Wow, this is great. The latest board game I've been playing is Marvel Crisis Protocol. I've never really been into the miniature gaming wise because two reasons. One, I'm not used to that. It's so weird just to see characters move and there's no cards and stuff. It's just your guys. It's really weird. Ugh. But it's um, also number two reason is because you have to glue every character, and I don't really have that good skill of gluing every single character. I mean, when I got my hands on the game, I really wasn't super worried about gluing, but I knew it was going to be tough. So, but I did it anyway, and it was really good. Gluing them was actually pretty fun. And, I could say this for myself because I'm not a good gluer, but I did pretty dang good. Of course, thousands and hundreds of thousands of other people have probably done better than me because that's probably their job, that's their hobby. Um, but you know what? For time, the first time I started gluing these characters, I didn't do such a bad job. Yeah, there's a few misses and stuff, but it's been really fun gluing them. But it's been really difficult. But yeah, Marvel Crisis Protocol, great miniatures game, 3x3. This means in feet, 3x3 feet. Map, where you're just trying to collect different tokens around the board, or you're trying to get near objectives and trying to control them. Different things like that. And it's been really fun, honestly. That game, and I played it with my dad, and we don't really want to get into it a lot because then we won't have time to play any of our other board games. But so far, Marvel Crisis Protocol is just really cool and really fun to play. Alright, then we have another question. And this question is from. Oh, wait, I don't know who is it from. I don't know why I said that. But this is another question, personal, meaning what is your favorite hobbies? Well, my favorite hobbies is playing board games. I love board games and doing podcasts. That's really it. Um, another hobby would be what? Well, school's not technically a hobby. You have to do that. Um, but that's kind of it hobby wise. Board gaming is a great hobby. I like video games as well. I don't consider that a hobby though. But I do consider podcast making, content maker, whatever it's called, and playing board games a hobby. Because it sounds cool, right? Oh, what's your hobby? Hey Ethan, what's your new hobby? Oh, I play board games. It sounds cool when you say hobby. What's your hobbies? Well, I like to do this and that. It sounds cool. That's your hobby. It's what you like. So I like those two things, and of course, so much more. But I don't consider them as hobbies. I just consider them as likes. I'm not obsessed with them. Now, I do like sports, but that's not a true hobby per se. But yeah. And it looks like right now we have been through every question. It looks like here. That's pretty good. I like that. We've done it. This might have been a little long podcast here today. But hey, you get to interview myself, hear who I am, what I like, and Marvel United wise, what I like to do. Now, one of the questions that wasn't here, that I don't know why it wasn't here, but it wasn't for some reason. I do my favorite special ability or power for a character that I love is probably to give the next person a wild token. That one, or where you can, or no, not that one, not that one. I like Shuri's power. Let me find her here. Shuri's power. She's really strong. And yes, here. Give one wild token from the pool to any hero. They may draw cards until they have 3 in their hand. I like to play supportive sometimes, and I go with Shuri. She is a really good character. And yeah, I mean, she's amazing, and I do like that ability as well. Anyway, with that in mind, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to today's podcast. I know it's been kind of different, kind of weird, but I thought it was necessary so you guys get to know me a little better, get to know what I like, my hobbies, things like that. And any more questions? Well, always go to Board Game Geek. There, maybe if I have time. If I don't, I'm so sorry. But in the meantime, you can probably shoot me up a message there, saying any cool ideas for our next podcast, as well as anything extra you want me to add. Again, this is all Marvel United stuff. Get creative. I really don't care. I know I've done, lots of segments, but there's always more segments to talk about. There just always will be. Um, we'll always think of something, but for the meantime, shoot me a message if you can. And if not, that is okay. That means I am doing pretty good. If you do send me a message, it doesn't mean I'm doing bad. It just means that, hey, look, you could do maybe this thing, alright? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. Again, please visit the Roster United official website. We've worked hard on that website, and it's just been really fun to, just see everybody there, see all all the fans. Um, in our website, and then liking it, and things like that. It's just been really really fun. But anyway, thank you everybody for listening. Been very supportive over these last few months, and we hope to continue bringing cool content. Anyway, thank you again so much. And this is Ethan, and this has been Roster United, another mini episode. Have a great day.